Today on Dice and Dragons, we are journeying back into the world of Legendary, but this time it is Legendary Encounters, X-Files. I think you wanted to say it. Did you want to say X-Files?
It's okay.
So the game is designed by Denny Mandel and Ben Chikosky. The original design for Legendary is done by Danny Lowe, and it is published by Upper Deck Games. Now I'll let Julie tell you about one of her favorite series of all time, this time in game format.
So it's a 1 to 5 player game and plays in about 30 to 60 minutes. It is cooperative. This one with the content, the X-File content, 17 and above, with all the fluke monsters and things like that. It's probably a good idea.
A little scary, but I mean, if you do have a younger kid that enjoys that type of thing, and I know there's quite a few of you out there in the board gaming world, it is okay for younger players. There's nothing in there that I would say that makes it absolutely 17
there's
plus.
There is a little bit of graphic content in the sense of that's truly X-Files, like the Man on Fire and DPO and things like that. So if somebody's going to be looking at the cards very closely, there is a little bit of content that's a little scary. But can't wait to play it and to take it to the table.
She has been itching for this for a long time. The game got delayed. She actually gave me crap because the game got delayed. She's like, how do you have Legendary Marvel Studios and not X-Files? I had to explain it to her. Almost broke up our marriage, but it's finally here. Things are good, so we're going to do what we always do here on Dice and Dragons. We're going to grab our drink. That's a big one, jeez.
It's a cocktail.
Grab your best friend.
Take it to the table. I can't wait.
Can't wait? Who are you going to be?
Scully.
What about Reyes?
No, only a non-X-File would say that. That's just bad.
Keep right here, guys. Now we're going to take a quick look at the components for Legendary Encounters, X-Files. But before I get into the components, I just want to give you guys a brief overview of how we're going to do this review, because as you can see from our nice second camera here, there are a lot of components. And as you may know from playing Legendary games or from our first review of Legendary Marvel Studios the first 10 years, it does take a while for the game to ramp up. Because of that, I'm going to be explaining the cards a little differently. We'll take a nice look at the board here, the different elements. And as I'm setting up the game, I'm going to explain the different cards to you after we take a look at the board. Now we'll get into the overview. We're going to go over everything as quickly as possible. Now on the second camera, you will notice that the rule book is not visible. I was not able to get that on there. And then we've got this nice stack of cards, which I will explain as well. Now, let's get to it. So the first thing we have is the Legendary Encounters playmat. As you can see, there is a lot of divisions to the playmat: the shadows, the field, the bureau. For those of you that are used to Legendary, you'll know that this is primarily where you recruit. This is going to be where the villains are. The field is something new, and we'll talk about it when we take a closer look at the board. Other than that, you've got the places for your starting decks, and then an area to discard the cards. We then have the Belief and Doubt deck, the Evidence setup, which we'll talk about when we go ahead to set up the game, and the Special Agent area, where as you can see, they cost 3 to purchase. We've taken a quick look at the board. Let's take a look at the cards. Now, different in Legendary Encounters are the avatars. We have Monica Reyes, John Doggett, Walter Skinner, Dana Scully, and Fox Mulder. Now, these 5 avatars are going to be the characters that you are playing. They have belief and doubt abilities. They have a defense value and a health value. Now, the defense value is referenced only on certain cards, but essentially those are your player characters who you're playing. They also have cards. Now, we'll talk about those cards in a moment. And let's take a look at the other characters that we get in this game. Now, we've got the lovely Brad Fulmer, I believe. Yeah, Brad Fulmer. We have the Lone Gunman, probably the most notorious of the allies. We then have Sean Pendrell over here. And last but not least is Charles Burks. Now, these are your ally cards. Like I said, the main avatars do have their own cards. They are put in the academy, the same place as your ally cards, and you're able to recruit them during your turn. I just wanted to highlight the ones that are different as they focus on the characters that have aided Mulder and Scully throughout the X-Files seasons. Now you'll notice that there are different colors to all of the cards, and we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. Suffice it to say, those different colors are different classes, and they can be chained together with cards from a similar class, depending on the card, to activate special class abilities. Now, those class abilities have a lot of different uses. We'll talk about it when we take a closer look at the cards. Next, we have our main characters decks. You can see we've got Fox Mulder, we've got Reyes, we've got Scully, we've got Doggett, we've got, of course, Skinner, saying it properly this time. And then lastly here, we've got the special agent, which is Layla Harrison. Now, I want to talk about Layla Harrison first. The special agent cards, as you'll notice here, they have 3 different colors. Now, her cards actually come with one of each color, one of each class type, so that they can be used to trigger class abilities. Now, you'll notice that each of these character cards are very similar to the ally character cards that we already saw. They function the same way. They will be placed in the Academy deck, and they can then be purchased from the Bureau, like any other Legendary game, and then they're used in your deck. Now let's move on to some of the other cards, but before I forget, I put these ones here just because of the glare. These are the conspiracy cards, and just to highlight, I will not be talking about the conspiracy cards in this review. The conspiracy cards are only used when you are trying to play a series. The rules for the series are available on page 25 of the rule book. As you can see, you can adjust the difficulty. It's fairly well explained right here, and there's not a lot of rules to it. Julie and I have yet to completely go through a series, so not going to talk about it. You've got the information in the rule book. And before I forget, we'll quickly show you guys the rule book. Once again, you've got a nice little cheat sheet on the back to help you set up the game depending on the number of players that you're going to be playing with. And then let's take a look at our bottom row of cards that we have here. We'll start with the assault team and the field agent. I know they're a little far away. Now those are your 2 standard cards. Those are the ones that are going to make up your starting deck. Now we have the evidence, priority 1. I only took out one of the cards because, as you can see, we have a lot of components. Now there are priority 2 and priority 3 evidence. We'll talk more about those when we get into setting up the game. Suffice it to say, you want to get those evidence cards off the board. We then have informants, and there are a variety of different informants. They do very good things for you. I'll explain how they work, how they show up when we're setting up the game. There are the doubt and the belief cards. The belief cards are very good. They let you draw a card, and they give you a special ability, whereas doubts aren't very good. The nice thing is you're able to get them out of your deck fairly easily. We'll talk about them in more detail shortly. But essentially, they are a hindrance to building a good deck. Lastly, here we have the Endgame cards, and I took 2 of them out. And I said lastly, so I didn't mean lastly. The last part of the villains, more likely, is, more appropriately said, is this, the Endgame cards. And they are white, as you'll notice here, because they're different. So this is what one looks like when it's flipped over. This is what it looks like when it's turned over. I just want to show you guys the difference. There are, if I'm not mistaken, 9 endgames in there, but when you're starting the game, you're going to be using 8 because you don't use one of them for a specific reason. I haven't got that far into the game yet, but I'm sure you guys will be able to find out, and that is the clone endgame. Next, we have some syndicate enemy cards. Now, the reason why this is separate is the syndicate enemy cards are sort of the negative cards that end up in your academy deck. I'll talk more about it once again when we go into the setup. We have our leads. Now, leads are cards that let you uncover evidence and potentially collect it. They're very good. You'll see how to use them, and we'll talk about how they get placed into the conspiracy deck. That's where they go along with the informant. Then finally, I just took out an example of a strike card. Yes, that is the last card that we are going over, besides this nice stack in front of me. Now, just to clarify the strikes, you'll notice there is a damage value on there. There are different strikes in the game. We'll take a quick look at them as I put them out on the board. Suffice it to say, you do not want to have enough strikes that equal your health, because you may be out of the game. And in the most scenarios and most conditions, when one character is defeated, you will lose the game. Now we'll take a look finally at the last thing, these cards that I have in front of me, which are these season cards. Now you may wonder why I kept this in front of me, and that's because there are 9 of them. There are 9 seasons. Each season is made up of an ally, 3 event cards, which are the red ones, and then the different X-Files. So in the X-Files may be such things like creatures, humans, alien creature, a construct. So there are different aspects to that, and there are all 9 of the original X-Files seasons included in the box. Now when we do the setup, we're going to be using 3 of them. A game consists of 3 seasons. The series is playing through all 9 in 3 separate games. And we've done it. I think I did a pretty good job of that. We've gone through all of the components, well, except for the duplicates that we get in Legendary Encounters X-Files. Now let's take a closer look at the game board. And then after we take a closer look explaining the different aspects of the board, we will start setting up the game. So we're going to be back faster than Mulder solved the conspiracy, that's for sure. Now we're going to take a look at the playmat for Legendary Encounters X-Files. Now I do apologize for having some of it off screen here. The reason for that is I wanted to be able to talk about the text and make sure that you can clearly see these scan values, which we'll talk about in a moment. Now we'll just talk about the simple placements on the mat. Now here's where you place your belief cards, doubt cards, the special agent cards. You'll see that it costs 3 recruitment points in order to be able to add those cards to your hand. Here is a space for the evidence cards. Evidence cards are placed here face down. We'll talk more about those cards as we go through the setup. Here we've got the Academy and a space for any defeated Academy characters. As you can see, the Academy feeds into the Bureau. We have the strike deck and a place for discarded strikes. The reason why the strike deck is in the field is that once a card moves into the field, it is able to strike at you. And then we've got the conspiracy deck, a space for defeated conspiracies. And the reason for that is the conspiracy deck feeds into the shadows. Now I'm just going to quickly grab 2 cards off camera here to explain how the shadows and the Bureau work. As you can see, we've got an X-File, the Cannibal right here. It has a fight value of 4 with a star symbol, meaning that there are special conditions that you can find on the card. And then we've got the Hack Anything, the Lone Gunman card. Now when these cards will start out, they'll be face down in their respective piles. Obviously, there would be more cards in the Bureau potentially, and more cards in the shadows before these guys come out. Now we'll just take a quick look at the shadows and how they work. So once a card moves from the conspiracy deck, it enters the shadows. Now you may spend 4 fight to scan and then reveal the card in this space. Any text that's revealed will have to be followed through. If there isn't, it means that you're now able to interact with this card before it reaches the field. Now, if a conspiracy, which will move 1 to the left every turn that a conspiracy card comes out, and if there are no cards next to it, I'll just use any old card here. I'm just reaching off camera. For example, this card would move while this card would not move. I'll put that back. Now, our conspiracy, our cannibal is moving through. In this scenario, we don't know that it's a cannibal. Now, we can reveal it at any one of these spaces by paying the amount. So 2 fight, 2 fight, 3, 3, and then 4 here. Once the card reaches the field, it is automatically revealed and is then able to strike at our heroes. So your characters, your avatar. So the first thing you may want to do when something gets into the field is defeat it. Otherwise, you're going to be potentially taking some damage. And that is how the conspiracies work and how they move through the board. To keep things clean, I'm just going to put this back. Now we'll take a look at the academy. Now when a card comes out of the academy, it'll go into any one of the empty spaces in the bureau. And what you can then do is you can scan these spaces by paying the amount of recruitment points required. You will then reveal the card, and you are then able to purchase it for the amount listed at the bottom of the card. Now, what's important to note is that each of these spaces has a special ability, and when you gain the card, you're able to use that special ability. Now, in the case of basic first aid, you may heal your most recent strike. You may not heal a strike that has become a scar. That requires some special cards and characters in order to be able to do that. And scars basically stay on you for the entire length of the game. Now, with the motivational speech, you may defeat a doubt in your discard pile. So if you've gained a doubt, it's in your discard pile. You may defeat it when you gain a card from this space. Fidelity, bravery, and integrity. You may gain a belief whenever you gain a card from this space. Recruitment drive. You may put the gain card on the bottom of your deck, meaning it will be one of the last cards you play before you reshuffle, which can be very, very good. And then field office transfer. You may put the gain card on the top of your deck, meaning you're going to get access to it during your next turn. So those are the special abilities. We've taken a closer look at the playmat. I'm going to now readjust the camera so you have a nice view of hopefully the whole playmat while I mess with this. There might be some clip corners. And then we'll go through the setup and explain the other cards. And just so you know, the setup's going to be broken up into chunks while we do the card explanations at the same time. So keep it right here, and we're going to be back as we work to solve this conspiracy. Now we're going to start setting up Legendary Encounters X-Files. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to place the strike deck out, and I'm very happy that card was at the bottom. Now what you're going to do is the strike deck, I'm going to take this one out just so I can show it to you. You shuffle it up. Not doing a great job. Just doing it quickly. And you place it face down next to the field. Now I want to talk about strikes. Now when you gain a strike, you receive the damage to your avatar that's listed below, and there may be texts. So any other player may reveal a belief in their hand to cancel this strike. So meaning if another player has a belief in their hand, you can actually cancel this. You will not take any damage. Whereas you may have just a standard strike, which is a flesh wound. You also notice that it is marked what part of the body it is affecting. Now I'll just place those back. We've taken our quick look at the strikes. Now we'll look at the belief cards. With regards to the belief cards, you will always draw a card, and you may choose to activate this. Now it's important to note that any activate ability, whether you use it or not, is your choice. So you may activate, you will resolve your belief, which is written on your avatar. We'll take a look at what those are shortly. We'll take just a look at one of them. We won't spoil it for everyone. And then what you would do is you may only do this once per turn, and you also defeat the card. So once the belief is defeated, it will go back into the belief stack. So that's what a belief is. The cards are stacked here. And for example, you can use it to draw a card. After you activate it, it goes back here. Next, we have the doubt cards, which will detail what a doubt is. At the start of your action phase, or if you draw this during your action phase, you must resolve your doubt, then defeat this card. You only do this once each turn. So similar to the belief, once a doubt card enters your hand, you resolve the doubt, which is listed on your character avatar. It is then returned to the doubt stack. Well, as we said, we have the special agent cards. So we've got Layla Harrison, costs 3 to get. Now you notice there is 1 for each of the different class abilities, meaning that it's great for you to be able to use to trigger those abilities. And you'll notice that this card also has coordinate. For those of you not familiar with Legendary, essentially what you do to coordinate is on another player's turn, you play the card. In this case, you would say, I'm playing Layla Harrison, and then you leave the card out in front of you, and the other player is able to use a virtual version of the card, meaning they are going to get 2 extra recruitment points. Now, with regards to the special agent cards, you take them quite simply, shuffle them up a little bit so they're randomized, and then they go face down in the special agent area. Now the evidence. And we'll flip over these cards just so we can take a look at them. So we've got priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3. Now when you reach the end game, which we're going to talk about, the evidence that you've not collected, so that is here, is either revealed and placed above the shadows, or if it's already revealed, it's just placed above the shadows, and it creates an effect during the end game. So what type of effects can they have? Now you'll see with this one, the force field, it means the blue, which if I'm not mistaken on the leadership cards, have no text. Meaning you cannot use any of the text on the leadership cards. That is a priority 1 evidence. Let's take a look at priority 2. The end game has Maul. So when this endgame strikes, instead of drawing a strike, gain the top of the strike deck as a scar. Now see, that's interesting. So instead of just taking a regular strike when it attacks, you immediately gain a scar. So permanent damage that is very difficult to heal. That's an example of a priority 2. Priority 3, the end, cancel any strike with 1 damage. The end game draws. So that's different because it's canceling the strike. I'd have to double check exactly what that means, but you can double check in the rulebook what canceling it means. But it could potentially mean that your endgame is going to get a little bit tougher, and the fact that they can then draw another strike. Once again, I'm not sure. I will try to get you guys some clarification and add that into our next scene. Now, what you didn't do with the evidence, quite simple. Shuffle it up. You don't look at what it is. So if you are going to be sleeving this, like we're thinking about doing, make sure that you get clear sleeves for the evidence. You would place a priority 3 evidence. Shuffle this one up so you don't know what it is. A priority 2. And then finally, the priority 1. And we've now set up sort of the static part of the board. What we'll then do is we'll take a look at setting up the academy. It's a little bit easier to set up the academy, and we'll go through the character cards. Then we'll finally set up the conspiracy deck and then explain a little bit more how to play the game. Keep it right here. We're working hard on this conspiracy, but as you can see, it's a tough one. Now we're going to continue setting up Legendary Encounters X-Files, and we're going to start by building up our Academy deck, and then also taking a look at the starting deck as well as our avatar. But before we get into that, I did want to just follow up on our evidence card. So when the end means cancel any strike with 1 damage, the end game draws. When you're fighting the end game, they will essentially have to draw strikes when you successfully deal damage. Now we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but what this means is that the endgame can cancel a 1 damage strike, meaning your attack was completely useless. So as you can see, evidence, it's a pain, bad stuff happens. Now we shall move on. So when you are building the Academy deck, well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to select the characters, and we're following the starting game setup here actually. So I'm picking Brad Fulmer as suggested, the Lone Gunman. We've got Sean Penrell and Charles Burks. So these are the 4 characters that are going to make up the Academy deck. Now the Academy deck is not only just fun and games. We also have, of course, infiltrators in the Bureau, meaning you're going to be drawing some of the syndicate enemy cards. Now we'll take a look at these cards quickly, and then I'll set up what we're going to need for the academy. But as you can see, these enemies all have the end effect. So for example, with this one, add a random priority to evidence revealed to the end game, meaning you will draw a random priority to evidence, and that will jump into the game if this card is not defeated before the end game is triggered. That's an example of one of them. And let's take a look at the other one. For example, we've got Cry Check. So with him, Ambush. When this enemy is revealed, move him into the field. So he moves into the field and will then be able to strike you. Now, how do these syndicate cards work? Well, as you can see, we have a lot of them. That's because there are a lot of enemies in the X-Files. What you do is you shuffle them up. You're not going to be using all of them. You're going to be using 6 of them. So we'll deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll leave them actually here face up for those of you that are curious, just so we can see. And we'll take a look at the ones that we have. As you can see, they can be defeated by either recruitment points or fight, much like the X-Files. Not the X-Files, sorry, the Seasons cards. And they also have the different classings, such as enemy, alien, and you can tell them apart because they're listed as syndicate enemy. And we even got Cigarette Smoking Man, and you can see, 7 recruitment points. He is not an easy one. All right, so we have these cards. We would then take our 4 character cards, which should give us a total of 56 cards, plus the syndicate enemy cards, making this be a total of 62 cards. And as you can see, I'm not the greatest at shuffling. Even though I used to play Magic, and I love deck building games, still not the best at shuffling. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time doing that, at least on camera anyway. And this would then be placed, and I drop those, sorry about that, into the academy. So that's set up. This syndicate, human enemy, we do not need them anymore. Take them off camera. We then have our character starting deck, the assault team, which gives you 1 fight. We start with 5 of these and 7 field agents. And I actually only have 4 taken out right here, so I will grab another one, but essentially, 5 assault team guys and 7 field agents make up your 12 card starting deck. You can shuffle this up, place it down next to your avatar. Now, for the case of this example play that we'll do, and it's not going to be too long, as I said, the game is massive, as you can see. I'll be playing the avatar of Fox Mulder. I have my defense value of 4. Certain cards reference your defense value. That's when it comes into effect. And then I have a health of 12. Now, my belief ability is, I want to believe. Each player may defeat a doubt in their hand or discard pile. Now, doubt is trust no one. Players can't coordinate or discuss game strategy until the start of your next turn. So if a doubt comes out, you will trigger this ability. When you draw a belief card, or maybe on another card, you may trigger your belief ability. The doubt ability has to be triggered when the doubt card comes out. And that is the avatar. We've now set up sort of the character aspect of the game. The last thing we're going to need to do is the conspiracy, which is a little bit more complicated, but not by much. So I will move my character stuff off to the side, or potentially take it off camera, and we'll set up the conspiracies and then teach you guys how the game will work, and give you some examples of some of the later aspects of the game. Now we're going to finalize setting up the game by setting up the conspiracy deck and taking a look at the cards. Now, the first thing you need to do for the conspiracy deck is the Endgame. Now, what you can see right here is the name of the Endgame, Extinction, the defense value. This is the value that you need to fight it with the red fight symbol. And then you need to deal a total of 9 damage. Plus, down here below, we have the ongoing effects. I'll take my hand off of the card. Now, the first thing you do when you're building your conspiracy deck is select the endgame. Now, if you feel like it, you can select it. As I'm following the first game setup rules, I took out the clone one. You take the cards, you shuffle them up, and then you deal one face down to be the last card. You will then take these cards and they will be returned to the box. So I will place them off camera. As I'm doing a one-player setup, we will then take the Season 3 cards, and you can find a cheat sheet on the back of the rule book. I will then take 7 of these cards and they're random. But we said we would take a look at these cards, so let's do that. So for example, Black Ops Team, an event. Defeat the top 5 characters of the Academy deck. Now in this case, when this event is revealed, you would then take the top 5. So, and you guys know I didn't do the greatest shuffling job. So that's why it's all Sean Pendrell. So top 5 characters of the deck would then be defeated and placed there. So that is an example of how an event would work. We've got the 3 masked men, which are very nasty. They have the triple strike, meaning once they're in the field, they would strike you 3 times, meaning you take 3 wounds, which can be fairly devastating. You also have, and before I forget, to beat them, you need 5 fight. I'll get my hand out of the way. We'll take a look at another one, the Jaguar Spirit. So it has its special abilities. This enemy strikes when it enters or is revealed in the field. Now, meaning if the card enters and is revealed, it will immediately strike the character. Or if it's already revealed and enters the field, it will immediately strike the character. Now, lastly, we'll take a look at the Pusher. Now, when you're looking at the Pusher, it has reveal, move the rightmost card in the shadows 1 space. Now, this could be very annoying because it could push the entire conspiracy track. But let's say this, for example, was here. We had a couple of face down cards up here. It would then push the right, when you reveal this, excuse me, you would then slide this over 1 space. All right, now we've taken a look at how these cards work. Some of them anyway, you'll get the hang of it as you play the game. Let's build the deck. So for our 1-player game, we need 7 cards for each season. So you shuffle up the cards. And then you deal out 7 cards. Rest of the cards are not used this game. So there are 3 events and 1 ally in each of the seasons. You may or may not get any events or any allies depending on the deal. I'm going to take these cards and I will put them off camera. Now the last thing you need are leads and informants. So we'll take a look at 2 of the leads. Now, why are leads important? These are what allow you to collect the evidence and reveal the evidence in order to weaken the endgame. Now, when a lead starts out, it will be face down. You then have to scan it to reveal it, and then it will go into effect. Now, let's take a look at these 2 leads as examples. So in order to discover evidence, you need to activate a belief, collect the evidence, do it again. So you need to activate your belief twice. To reveal, you'll then be able to reveal and then collect the evidence, thereby weakening the end game. Now what you notice is that there is an effect when these leads get into the field. At the end of the turn, each player gains a doubt, then defeat this card. So if you're still at the discover evidence phase, you're not collecting it. It is not good because you've got negative things that happen and you have to then defeat it. Getting rid of it, you're no longer able to collect evidence. Also, you'll notice that, see, at the end of the turn, if you're at the collect evidence phase of this lead, defeat this card. So your leads are important. They're difficult to protect. And we'll give an example of another one. What you have to do is defeat an enemy in the shadows, even a little bit harder to do. then field. At the end of the turn, each player gains a doubt, then defeat this card. If you're at the collect evidence phase, do it again, field. At the end of the turn, defeat this card. So that's an example of how the leads work. If you have any more questions on leads, I recommend taking a look at the rule book. What you then do is you shuffle up your leads. You add one to the Season 3 deck. I'm just placing it here face down. And next we'll take a quick look at the informants. So let's take a look at Cassandra Spender. Very famous character for those familiar with the series. So when a doubt is drawn, defeat it. Doubts can't be gained or resolved, which is very good. Then at the end of the turn, once this card is moved through the shadows, once again, moves through the shadows, you gain the effect when it's revealed. Once it's in the field, the card can be defeated and you lose it. We'll take a look at Deep Throat. Ongoing, enemies have -1 fight and -1 star. So -1 fight, -1 recruitment, very good. And as well in the field, at the end of the turn, defeat this card. So informants leads to the things you really want to protect. Now with regards to the informant pile, we do the same thing. Shuffle it up. Then we add one to our Season 3 cards. I'm putting those back face down. We shuffle up the Season 3 cards. Put them back on top of the conspiracy deck. So this is Season 1. We've got Season 2 right here. Shuffle it up. Just going to do this quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 and 1. And shuffle it up a bit more. Got our Season 2. And we do the last thing with Season 1. 7. 1 and 1. I've got these cards here. Shuffle it up. Place this here. And we'll just straighten it out. There we go. The other informants and leads. So all the other extra season cards. We take them all. And they are not being used during this game. So we've now set up the game. I'm going to take you guys through a turn. And then I'll show you an example of what happens in the field, as well as the end game. They'll probably be separate clips. We've gone ahead, we've done it. We're ready to start solving this conspiracy, so hope you guys will stick with us as we continue explaining Legendary Encounters, X-Files. Now before we get into taking a look at how to play the game, I just wanted to clarify something with the leads, so that when you discover an evidence card, and I'm just going to put this on the board so you see, let's say we're going to go in order. You're supposed to go priority 1, 2, and 3 when you're using the leads. You would discover the priority 1 evidence. Then once you collect the evidence by doing the next thing, and let's say it's on another turn, another player does, you slide the evidence just over to the left, and then the lead is discarded. So each lead can only be used to collect one piece of evidence, so it's quite crucial that you don't waste them. Now that we've clarified that and just corrected ourselves, we are going to move on with how to play. Now let's take a look at how you play Legendary Encounters X-Files. This is going to be just a quick look as we'll go through a few turns just to give you guys a feel for the game. And after that, we'll kind of move ahead, show you guys the strike phase, as I doubt we'll get to it during our quick playthrough. And then we'll also take a look at how you will beat the dreaded endgame at the bottom of the conspiracy deck. All right, now the first thing we're going to do, shuffle up our cards, get our hand. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6, our starting hand. I'll finish populating the bureau with the top 5 Academy cards. And then we'll go through the first phase, which is known as the conspiracy phase. A card enters the shadows. Next is our action phase, where we reveal the cards that we have and then take an action. Now, you don't play cards that you cannot use, meaning right now, for example, the assault team isn't very useful. I can't scan anything in the shadows, but I do have a fair bit of purchasing power, and I want to sort of start revealing the board. So we'll start by playing a field agent to scan 1. That reveals Sean Penrose's Rigorous Investigation. Looks like that's a pretty good card, but I do not have enough to purchase with only 3 left. I'll then play another card to scan 1 again. And another good one, but we're not really getting where I want to go. We'll then play the last 2 to scan 2. And we've got a different card. This time we got Buyers from the Lone Gunman, and I'm not able to play these cards. The next phase is the strike phase, where any enemies in the field would attack us, and we would have to draw a strike. As there are no enemies in the field, we skip the strike phase. I then take all the played cards, they go into my discard pile, I discard the remaining cards in my hand, and I'll draw another 6 cards. All right, we've got 6 cards. We then move the conspiracy into the shadows. We draw the next one. It is now the action phase, where I will play my 3 field agents first. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do that because I might need the recruitment points to potentially defeat an X-File. Let's see what's in the shadows. So I'll play my 3 assault team, spend my 3 to reveal what we have in here, which is the COS, the construct. So it is immune to tech cards. Tech cards are the black cards right here. For those of you, if you ever see like tech immunity and things like that, please take a look at the rulebook. It's got it all set up for you. And it does actually tell you what it is. You can't use the fight from your tech cards to defeat this enemy. Well, I will not be able to defeat this enemy. I've got 3 buying power. And the buyer's card is fairly interesting. So we will purchase the card, and then let's look at the gain ability. So I may gain a belief. Now you may, I don't have to, but beliefs are always pretty good to have in your deck. And I will gain a belief. So the cleanup phase, where we will refill the bureau. I will reshuffle my deck, draw myself a new set of 6 cards. All right, and this may be the last turn that we do. Let's see what we've got. All right, we've got some interesting stuff this turn. We'll move the cards through the shadows. I have my belief. Now, the first thing I always do is I'm going to play my belief. I will draw a card. So lets me draw a card, which gives me the assault team. Now, I don't have enough fight to defeat the construct, unfortunately. I do have quite a bit of buying power, so let's sort through everything, which is not bad. So I'm actually going to play Buyers, and I'm going to choose to use his ability. And let me just show you guys his ability. Choose an enemy card, change its fight to recruitment points or vice versa. So I'm going to change that to recruitment points. I have 2 there. I'll play a 3rd, and I will then defeat the construct. Notice I did not use a tech card at all. Those cards have been played. Now the only thing I've got left are my 2. And we'll choose something different here. We will scan 2 to reveal Charles Burke. These cards are not going to be able to be played. We then go into the strike phase because we finished the action phase. Everything gets discarded. And then we will redraw our new hand. 6. All right. And play would continue from here. Now, as you can see, we'll go through one last card because I can essentially reveal another X file just to give you guys an idea of what's up there. It could even be an event or an ally. So this will be the last turn. So we'll go through the conspiracy phase. First thing I'm going to do is play my 3 assault teams down. Keep these in my hand. To scan 3. I want to scan the latest card, and it's an event. All right. I'll just put these down. So we now read the event card. Choose a player to skip their next turn, conspiracy, and action phases. They turn their avatar face down until the end of their next turn to help remember. Now, this is not going to have a big negative effect in a one-player game. It could have a negative effect if we had enemies in the field because you would still have the cleanup and the strike phases, meaning you'll take damage. But in this case right now, it's not going to be a big deal. So once the event is revealed, it goes here. I essentially would turn my character face down, but it's just going to come back face up afterwards. But we're going to follow the rules. I've got 3. And because I may be able to get a card for 1, we'll try scanning 2. Reveals another Charles Soule. So these are played. Comes down to the strike phase, nothing there. We discard the played cards. I discard the card that's left in my hand. I then draw my 1 card. As I'm essentially skipping my turn, it doesn't make a difference. I would flip my card over, finish shuffling up my deck, deal myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cards to refresh my deck. You guys can see a little bit what I have. And then the game would continue. Now that we've taken a look at how to play the game, we're going to stop right here. I'm going to sort of advance things a bit. And we'll take a look at the strike phase as well as the end game. Keep it right here. We're going to be working hard to solve this conspiracy. As you can see, the game has progressed. I've got my hand. Mulder suffered a wound as we had an enemy, these little metallic cockroaches that were difficult to defeat, that entered the field. Now, let's take a look at these quickly. You can only use damage or fight from cards with exactly 1 printed to fight this card. Sorry about that stutter there. So you need exactly only 1 damage. So things like the assault team are the only things that can defeat that cockroach. Now we'll start the game with the conspiracy phase. So you've got the scary the 3 masked men that enter the field. We then have the end game moving into play, and it is my turn. Now the first thing we're going to do is use the belief to draw a card. No fight. And we don't have that much fight. Well, we could defeat the masked men, but these cockroaches are just annoying. We also may want to reveal what's there. So let's play the 3 assault team guys and defeat the metallic cockroaches. They're gone. We'll slide this guy down. We're going to take some damage next turn, but that's okay. I'm then going to take a look at his ability. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may discard any number of them and put the rest back in any order. It's interesting. So let's see what we got here. I'll discard any of these things. So maybe stuff that we don't really want. I don't necessarily want these field agents. We're getting close to the end game. I want some stronger cards. We'll keep these ones. Get those discarded. Pick up my hand. And I still have these 2 cards to play, and I can activate special ability. I've got the 2 fight. Let's see what we get. Oof, let's scan there. Ally, Jeremy Smith. So he is vigilant. This ally strikes instead of you. Ignore the text on them. When he has taken damage from strikes 2 or greater than 4, defeat him. So we've got a very nice ally that I've gained, and it's important to find these allies before they get into the field. If, for example, this card had slid into the field, he would be defeated. So I've gained Jeremiah Smith. I will put him down just right here, just to clean up the area. Let's discard, not discard, but at least put off to the side the stuff that I've already used that's going to get discarded during the cleanup phase. So that's been used. And I've got only a total of 2 purchasing power left, unfortunately. Can't defeat this X-File, can't recruit him. We'll scan 2, reveal another guy. That's the end of the turn. And this still stays here because I played it. We now then go into the strike phase. Now, unfortunately, we've got the 3 masked men, which will triple strike, meaning we draw 3 strikes. The first one is a miss. No damage, we get to discard this card. Phew, that's good to have. This one, so if you survive this strike, your oldest strike becomes a scar. So this gets flipped over, it can no longer be healed. It's permanently a scar, it's 1 damage. And then we take 1 more strike, gain a doubt, which is only 1 damage though, luckily. So we've only sustained a total of 3 damage, but we do gain a doubt in our deck. Now don't forget, in my played card piles though, so this will go to the discard, I do have my belief, which I haven't activated yet, because we're not down into the cleanup phase. But do I necessarily want to? I'll do it, I'll activate it. Because it says in the game rules it can be activated at any time. This may be a slight mistake since we've gone through the strike phase and technically it should be the cleanup phase, but I played the card, I want to activate it so that I can activate it at any time to get rid of the doubt using Mulder's belief. Each player may defeat a doubt in their hand or discard pile. We then have to discard the belief, take all my cards, put them in the discard. I've got an ally that'll take some damage for me. And actually, you know what? I just did that wrong, but that's okay. So, for example, these 2 damage actually, so this would not have become a scar, which is good. You guys, I actually liked what I did there. So we'll just take it back slightly. Now, because I've got Jeremiah Smith, all this damage that was done to Mulder, besides the flesh wound that was there, would have been done to Jeremiah Smith. So he actually has 2 damage and Mulder has 1. This does not become a scar, but that's okay because I do make a slight mistake, but I get to show you guys the strike phase, and then you also get to see how an ally works. So I'm happy with that because that's what I really wanted to do. So now that we've covered this, I'm going to draw another 6 cards. And then we'll talk about the end game. So sorry about the little mistake there. It's all good, and we'll come back with the last thing we're going to cover before we get to our review, how to deal with the end game. Keep it right here. We're going to solve this conspiracy or we're going to die trying. Now I have my hand. And let's take a look at the end game. We'll start with our conspiracy phase. Move everything down 1. The reason why is the end game pushes everything down 1 once that card is on the board. And it's now my turn. We still have this nasty triple strike guy out there. And let's see what we can do. The first card we're going to play is Hack Anything. The reason for that is scan a space in the Shadows or Bureau for each revealed defeated construct. Now, I didn't play through the whole game, but the first thing we did do was defeat a construct. And that means it'll let me scan the end game. So with regards to the end game, we need to deal 10 damage to it. It has a defense of 3. We need to do it for at least 3. And then it has an ongoing effect. So clean up. After you draw a new hand, if you needed to shuffle your deck, gain a symptom. When you draw a new hand, draw 1 or fewer cards for each symptom you have. Oof, that's no fun. Now, if you're wondering what symptoms are or any sort of special card rule, page 23 has it all listed right there. You can see for infection, it tells you what the symptoms are. Essentially, what it says is you just use any markers for your symptoms. I'll just use the extra legendary dividers that I have for now. Put them off screen as we don't need them yet. Still not redrawing my hand. All right, so we still got this guy. We can maybe hit this guy. We've got a lot of different stuff that we can do. Now, the main thing we want to do is try to beat the infection. But this guy with his triple strike is also fairly nasty. So what do we got? Activate. So you may replace an evidence that is discovered but failed to be collected with random evidence. So that would have been nice, but Before I forget, we also do have to place the 2 evidences in the field. So with this one, the endgame has +2 health. So this is actually now 12. And with the other one, the endgame has runner. So at the end of the conspiracy phase, it moves another space, meaning stuff's going to get tricky sooner rather than later. So we want to try to kill that thing as fast as possible. And we luckily have a guy that can take some wounds for us, so maybe we do things a little differently. So let's attack the end game. That's what I really want to do. We have 3. This will represent another 3. So we've hit its defense value twice. Now that the fact that we hit the defense value twice means it draws a strike. Oof. So the infection takes 4 damage. Draw another strike. It's only a 1. So our infection has taken a total of 5 damage. You can keep that next to it. That's the damage it's taken because we beat its defense value. Now when it comes to purchasing power, we've got a total of 2, 3, and 4. So that's nice, and this one fight's going to get stuck in my hand. Just not going to be any fun. All right. So for the 4, you know what, I'm going to take a chance because I'd love to get rid of a wound. Scan 3. Bureau. Cards can't be added to spaces next to this enemy. Well, that's no fun. So we still have some nasty stuff going on. I can't buy anything at this point. All these cards get... just discarding them now. This is the last one left in my hand. And we get to the strike phase. Meaning I'm going to take damage from our lovely guy. And it's triple strike. So that's another 1, 2. So now that he's finally taken 4 damage, we will defeat the strikes and unfortunately defeat our ally. But he did a good job. And we take another strike, which is 2 damage to Mulder. We also have the runner. So endgame has runner. At the end of the conspiracy phase, it moves another space. So actually, made a slight mistake there because I hadn't seen this evidence before. This guy essentially is actually also in the field. And this guy moved another space. Now what I hadn't done yet was I hadn't used my lone gunman ability. Scan the leftmost card in the shadows, which gives us an informant. But because the end game is out, the informants are automatically defeated. And we'll take a look at what the effect this thing has in the field. Enemy creatures in the field strike an additional time. There are no creatures, which is good. They're just humans. I'll take an extra strike. It is a miss. Get to discard this card, which would be from that card. Now, discard this bad boy. It's not a great card, as you know. Now, luckily, we don't have any symptoms because we're not reshuffling yet. I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then take a look at our cards. And here we go again. So we move 1 and then 1. It's now the end of the conspiracy phase, meaning this card enters the field. First reveal if the end game is still in the conspiracy deck. Put the enemy directly on top of it. So doesn't matter. It is there. And we move our end game 2. We got some nasty stuff out there, but this guy's taken 5 damage. Maybe we've got enough here to kill it. So, data analysis. Each time you scan a card in the bureau, you can draw a card. It's not very helpful right now. But we've got activate. Look at the top card of the Academy deck. You may defeat it. I'm not going to worry about that. This one might not be bad if we want to get rid of some negative stuff. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may discard any number of them, then put the rest back in any order. Getting tight there. And then we've got another 1 damage. So we're playing all of our damage first because that's the important part. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fortunately, we can't get another card, but we can hit this guy twice. So the first one is only 1 damage. And then another 2 damage. Now once the Endgame gets into the field, it will be able to strike us as well. Now these cards aren't very useful for me right now. They're going to be discarded. We go through the strike phase and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got to draw 6 strikes. This might be the end of Mulder. So we got 1, 2, 3, and this thing becomes a wound, but it's still worth 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. We got to draw 3 more. And then we got 8 plus 5 is 13. So Mulder at this point will have actually suffered too much damage. I know they slipped off the screen. We had all these strikes because we just couldn't defeat it, and he would have died. So that's how the end game works. I know we didn't get into like its ongoing effects so we didn't get there, but read the cards, use the rulebook that you can't see off camera there. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know, and that's how you play Legendary Encounters X-Files. Now let's go to our review of the game. So Legendary Encounters X-Files. What do you think of the game? You definitely need to start off since it's X-Files, as everyone can see. But you were a big fan of Legendary, so what do you think of this change to the system as well?
Well, I really enjoyed it. As you said, I was looking forward to it. I think it's different enough from the Marvel version that we played in the game style that a couple things tripped me up, and I think tripped us up the first time when we were learning to play. That being said, we've played it again since, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's much more cooperative, honestly. You really have to play together to be able to defeat what's coming in the shadows, to not lose informants and the leads. And I think that was something that's definitely new to this game that added a lot of depth to it that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and just so people know, this is our first experience with Legendary Encounters. We do have some other Legendary Encounters games, but we've not played them yet.
Well, I wouldn't let you. I mean, this is X-Files. I watched them religiously and then rewatched them when they came out on DVD and then rewatched them when they came out on Blu-ray and then rewatched them on Netflix. So, you know, for me, the content is really there. I really enjoy it. Like I said with Marvel, the Marvel Legendary version, I love the IP and this felt like X-Files for me. So, you know, I really enjoyed it. I love that the strength of the characters really does fall in line with what they do on the show. So for me, it was great. And, you know, I mean, you've joked about it.
Yeah.
I am definitely going to, you know, be begging you to bring this back out because it's a nice evening. Now that we've played it, it's a nice evening after dinner game. It takes a little bit longer to set up than other games. I mean, you have to split everything up and put them back together, pick your characters. But it's a good play for, you know, after dinner, and I really enjoy it.
And is there anything that you don't like about the game? Or the quality of the components or anything like that?
Well, I found the cards were a little thin. The first time we took it out, you know, as I was putting it away, I noticed one of the cards had already, you know, been bent a little bit from the shuffle or even just putting them down on the table. So for that, they do even seem a little bit thinner than even the Marvel version that we have. But, I mean, you've sleeved them since?
Yes, I actually went out and did something I said I wouldn't do. I'd sleeve the game. This is her favorite game, and maybe not her favorite game, but her favorite IP and one of her favorite to get to the table, so decided to take good care of it.
So what did you think? I mean, you're not an X-File. You didn't watch it when it was on TV, or not regularly at least. So what did this game bring for you?
So I really like this game. I really like the Legendary Encounter system. We have Legendary Encounters Firefly. We are definitely going to be reviewing that in short order, probably within the next month or so. We'll probably get something on that out. Don't know how it's going to differ, but I do know that going through the rule book, it did say that this differs from other Legendary Encounters games. And I do want to get even more. I've heard a lot of good things about the Alien game, even though that's not sort of the IP that you love. I've heard that the gameplay is actually maybe the best of the Legendary Encounter series. That being said, that was before this came out, and it's getting a little bit harder to find, so we may or may not pick it up. but I really do like the legendary encounter system. The one thing that I say that I do not like about, let's say, the X-Files is maybe some of the end games, and I'll talk about that like a little bit more. I just want to kind of give you the brief summary, what I like and what I dislike. Didn't really like the way all of the end games work. When one of them came out, it was very difficult to beat. I'd say that the way that the deck was built and even the characters that we had in the deck, it kind of came out and it was like, so GG, game over. That's the end of it. Now, it did make sense in terms of the theme of the event, but that's one thing that I didn't necessarily like, doing the sort of, the random setup. You're not picking what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be fighting against. And I would say that as you play the game, I would recommend that you're going to take a look at the different characters that you're going to put into the Academy deck and make sure that you sort of select an end game that works well with it. Not pick a specific one, but if you're doing something where you might have a lot of characters with less fight, don't pick something that's going to require you to have a lot of fight and a lot of coordination to be able to beat it, because you're just going to end up with an experience like we did the first game, and we're just kind of like, that didn't work out. The other thing I don't necessarily like is the character balance. Like, it's not really well balanced throughout all the characters. They each do something different, which is very good. But if you're drawing a random end game, I feel that that's sort of a detractor to it as well. Now, I know I went through my negatives a little bit first there.
I would say on that point as well, I think that's where the difference is of not picking your end game. Because with Marvel, when you picked your end game, we knew which characters to be able to pick, because there was a time
It
where
wasn't the end game, sorry, the scheme.
The scheme. So we knew that for one that we picked in particular, we knew that Black Widow wouldn't be a good fit for that one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't help us out at all. So we didn't pick her that time. Whereas in another scheme, she was great. And I think it's the same thing here. I get what you're saying about the different characters, and I picked the lone gunmen, and they were great and would have been great against the last end game that we played, but they really didn't help us at all versus the first one. I get that. I think when you know the characters, you can build a balanced team. If you don't know anything about the X-Files, you may not, you may end up putting all the weaker characters together. But I don't mind so much losing in a game, as long as I had fun playing through the components. It's kind of like, other games that we've played before where, against Thanos, where we were never winning.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed playing it. And I think that for me, this game had that as well. So I just wanted to add that to the comment you made, because I know you like having a little bit more control.
No, that's not the reason why. My detractor with that is, let's say this is your first game, and I know we're going a little bit longer than negatives than I want to, but it's good conversation, is that if it's your first game, it does suggest to take out the clone end game. Now, I haven't really looked at the clone. I'm not sure why it says to take it out. But the one we ran into specifically was Assassination, which, when you're following the first game setup, it is pretty much, if you get that one, you're not going to beat it. Now, there's only like a 1 in 8 chance that you're going to get it. But that's what we got. And I just find that, especially when you're learning a game, that's the kind of thing that could be frustrating. So I'm just suggesting to people in your first game, take a look at the cards, figure out the characters, because I just found that a little bit of a weakness in terms of how the rulebook is telling you to set up the game. I'm not saying it's a weak part of the game. It's fun to be challenged, but when you don't know how everything works together, it can really sort of bring that like a sour experience to your first playthrough. And I think even both of us, at the end of our first playthrough, we were kind of like, well, did we do something wrong? What happened? We're making some big mistakes. And we did find some small mistakes that we made, and we definitely improved our play in the following playthrough.
It's important to coordinate.
Yes, it's very important to coordinate. And this is one thing that I think we both do agree. The rules do say you can only coordinate one card per turn. And I do think that if you're playing a two-player game, you might want to change that rule around a little bit to be able to coordinate a little bit more. But that's completely up to you. That's sort of a house rule. But I'd say that even just coordinating one card, we were still able to be successful. We just had some frustrating experiences where it's like, but I need only one more to really get that big combo. So we kind of dove a little bit further in on the negatives. Let's talk about the positives. The cooperative aspect of the game is there. The game is very much difficult and challenging. Managing the shadows is key. And we had a lot of difficulty doing that in our first play. And I think that was largely the characters that we had. We weren't getting the fight out. We weren't being able to scan the shadows and reveal the cards, and it became very challenging. And part of that was how we ended up building our decks. We weren't coordinating enough. We weren't also trying to chain abilities, like class abilities, and chaining them are very important. And we could definitely have done a little bit better job of that. I really like the evidence aspect of the game and being able to reveal the evidence, sort of weakening that end game, which, if I'm not mistaken, is something that's new for Legendary X-Files, at least the way that it works, and I really like that. And the challenge of having syndicate members in the Bureau, and the fact that you have to potentially defeat them, especially before the end shows up, to weaken, the end game. Otherwise, you're still trying to beat that thing in the Academy plus take on the end game. It can be very, very challenging. And overall, though, I think it is a very good game. Just some little negatives that I found really shone through on that first playthrough. So my recommendation, don't follow the first game setup. Take a look at the characters, maybe pick your end game, and go from there. And we're looking forward to trying this out even as a series, and then I'll probably do just a quick review, maybe even something that's not just a full video like for the week, but an actual video we release during the week of us playing through an entire X-Files series and what we think of that series play, because that's something new to Legendary Encounters, at least if I'm not mistaken. For those of you that have played Firefly, you might be out there saying, Jason, you're wrong. It's there, but new for us, and we're looking forward to trying it. But very good game, small negatives, be cooperative, and pick your characters, and I think you're going to have a much better gameplay experience than if you just follow the setup rules. But the one thing I want to ask you, as the X-Files fan, something that you did not talk about, and it's one of the pluses, how did all the different characters, I think we stayed away from your least favorite, Reyes. She's the only one that we actually haven't put into the Academy. Did they actually feel like the X-Files characters? And we should talk about the different avatars. That's one thing we didn't mention. So talk about the characters. I want you to go into that.
Okay, well, I thought I did at the beginning. I did say that if you do know the show, they are very much like their characters. So, having Scully on your team means that you can heal. She's very much science-driven, so she helps you with the science clues and things like that. Obviously, Mulder's that wild card that believes in everything and is going out there and really has that interactions with the allies and things like that. We added back in Skinner and Doggett on our second run, and they're strong. Skinner's a very strong character to have, to be able to give you that ally in the Bureau and to be able to cut through the red tape. So I found him very strong.
And the one thing I want to mention about Skinner, and this is why he's almost, I don't know if he's a must, we haven't played it enough, but I almost think he would be a must. So far from what we've seen, he's the only character that lets you get rid of your starting cards. And I think that's one thing that we neglected to mention. It was very frustrating not being able to sort of cut down on the beginning crappy cards the first time that we played the game. But Skinner helped us do that a lot more in the second game.
Yeah. And Doggett has a lot of fight, so it made it...
it seemed fairly balanced, though. Like, he had a lot of both, especially his like hero card, or one of his two hero cards.
Yeah, so, I mean, from that perspective, like I said at the beginning, if you know the characters... their abilities really are a good tie into it, and I mean, it's like the lone gunmen and their tech. So that would have been good, and based on the different end games, there might be an end game where the lone gunmen are absolutely necessary. So I'm never gonna love Reyes. She's just not a character that I liked in the show. That's just because I followed all the other seasons and wasn't happy with the last season. So I'm probably never going to pick her to be one of the characters. Maybe somebody who plays with us will. But that being said, I really do like that. I like the fact that, Cancer Man comes up, and all of the different, as Jason mentions, all of the different people that come through the Academy that turn out to be, double agents or turn out to be a thorn in our sides. That was interesting as well.
What I found is interesting is you have the enemy version of Krychek.
Yes.
And then in a later season, you can get an ally version of Krychek. So I thought that's really cool and very thematic with the X-Files. I've seen a lot of them. I did not finish all of the seasons like Julie, but I do know a fair bit of my X-Files lore. First movie, awesome.
Okay.
You didn't like the first movie?
Yeah.
With the alien invasion?
Yeah.
Oh, this is way better than the second one.
I think we were disappointed with the movie, generally speaking. If you're an X-File, it wasn't everything we hoped it was going to be. But
Well,
that
they
being
still
said,
continued on with the show. But that being said, we're getting off topic
Yeah.
a little bit. Now let's talk about the avatars, because that's the new other thing with Legendary Encounters. I really like the avatars, having a character to play and having like specific abilities tied to the avatar, not just to their characters that come out from the Academy deck. Now, you had a very interesting card that actually let us go through and check out all of the powers from the avatars in our last playthrough.
Yeah.
And do they seem thematic? And then we'll move on to scoring the game. That's the last thing I think we need to talk about.
yeah, the avatars definitely are. I mean, basically what they're based on is the belief and the doubt. And basically, as those play into the game with your belief card and your doubt card, they really were thematic, I felt. And yes, having that ability, I believe it was Skinner's. That was actually one of the play cards, though, not the avatar, allowed us to go and play any character's beliefs or doubts in the game, whether or not they're being played or not.
Yeah,
So that turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, saved our butt. We were able to go through one character's belief, trigger that, and I was like, holy, this is perfect. Exactly what we need.
Yeah, well, it allows you to have a little bit more flexibility. I think Scully and Mulder really are built to be those two main characters if you're going to play just two because of their avatars. But I agree with you. I enjoyed that additional benefit.
Well, the belief and doubts they do very well. Like Scully's belief or her cards that potentially let you gain a doubt, and Mulder's ability to get rid of the doubt. I did think that was very thematic from the X-Files, especially from the early seasons of the show.
Yep.
All right, so let's score it. Since you're the big fan, you get to score it first.
I honestly think this, to summarize, I think this was everything I hoped it was going to be. I'm giving it a 9.5. It's the game I was hoping it was going to be. I'm glad that we were challenged a little bit with it the first time, and then got the hang of it a little bit more. If we had caught it the first time, I think we would get bored with it. So, what about you?
I'm going to give it an 8. The system is very good. I can't quite go out there and give it a 9 just because of the way some of the end games work and that slight little bit of randomness. Now, I do like it. And maybe if we played it in a 5-player scenario, it might be saying something different, especially with the ability to coordinate a larger amount of resources. Because at that point, you might have had that one card, and then the other 4 players coordinate you a bunch of cards, and you can get those big scores. But as a 2-player game, I found that it might suffer just a little bit from some of the end game challenges, but it's still very good, and it's something that I do really enjoy. It's something that I know we want to get out to the table with some other X-Files fans of yours and see how it goes. And it introduced us into the Legendary Encounter system, and it's a system that I'm a big fan of. And I think the other reason why I'm giving it an 8 instead of a 9, I do like the idea for like the other Legendary games. Like we've got a couple of them that we're going to be getting shortly, but with like MCU, for like just fun, like for this shiggles, we can actually take Buffy and throw her into the MCU, or Jack Burton and throw him. Like, I like the idea that you can mix some of the stuff together. Now, you can't do that in the Legendary Encounter system, but that's not like, I'm not taking that as a negative. You could probably try. I don't know how Mal Reynolds would work with Mulder, but I think they might get along, actually. But, for me, I do like that little mixing element. Now, if they're going to do any expansions for X-Files, and I hope they do, there's seasons 10 and 11 that they could add for expansions. That might even bring, that score up a little bit for me, but good game. This is the X-Files game. Now, we have another X-Files game. We've played it once. I think we'll play it again. We might be reviewing it on the show. I don't know, but I think this is the game that I think we were kind of hoping that the other game was going to be in terms of how it plays and the overall feel of the game, and just the mechanics, where as the other game was harder in one way, this one was harder, but it's something that, with the right team, the right amount of players, you could definitely overcome.
So, as usual, if you like this video, if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, to like the video, give us your comments. We love hearing them, especially this guy.
Yeah, well, if you want us to jump into something else, Legendary Encounters, you want us to change up our schedules, let us know. And then shortly above our heads, you're going to be seeing links to our other videos. So right now, there won't be any X-Files links up there, but you never know in the future. I might go back and change that up. And from us here at Dice and Dragons, don't forget to grab your drink, grab your best friend, and I'll let you take it out.
Keep playing games.
Keep playing games. So I think I'll be Reyes next time, just to poke. Hey, she might be good. I think that'd be the most frustrating thing for you is if Reyes was one of the best characters in the game.
Not gonna happen.
You sure?
Not gonna happen.